Поехали.
Okay. Hi guys. Hello.
Hi everyone.
This is actually A1 Games. A1 or AY Games?
AY Games.
Yeah.
We hired this guy and he doesn't know.
No,
name.
you know me. From far, far away. Anyway, my name is Sergey. I'm the community manager for the Deck of Ashes, the game, and also AY Games, the company. Today I am joined by Stanislav, also known as Stas, who is our also game designer, project manager, lots of roles,
you
lots
name
of
it.
stuff. Yeah,
I'm everything you want me to.
Okay, so basically, this is our stream for the reveal of the new feature. We will be shown today, and it's gonna be revealed in about like 5 or 10 minutes. So first of all, I wanted to ask, like, if you are guys either Russian or whatever from anywhere in the world, if you would like to help us, please try to tell us if you see us, if you hear us, if everything is okay. Just please type in the chat that everything is fine, that you can actually hear us, and it will help us a lot. Okay. So Stas, I'm gonna give you the mouse so you can actually try to first just basically play the game, and while you're playing the game, we will talk briefly about who we are, what we do, what we're gonna reveal today. So yeah, all is okay. Ruslan, thank you so much, man. Dude, appreciate it. So at least we know we are live. We've been dropping in and out of YouTube for some time. New game, just a new game. Don't worry about it. Okay. So we have some regular guys from maybe some other or Russian stream, but today is for the English community only. We're gonna skip the story. We're gonna stick to the main game because we want to reveal something to you in about 5 or 10 minutes. So briefly, like Stas, what's your role on the project? And please tell us briefly, what is Deck of Ashes?
Well, Deck of Ashes is a roguelike RPG game in which you build a deck of cards, the battle deck of cards, which you use to kill monsters and fight your way through a dark fantasy world in order to lift the terrible curse. So you have several characters. They are all pretty much anti-heroes. This, again, is a dark fantasy story, dark fantasy game, and
Hi, Leppy.
We don't really have the good guys here. Everyone is after their own goals.
Everyone is a son of a anyway. So we're gonna leave the camp probably. Like yes, we so because this is a camp, this is a safe spot because you have different NPCs. You do stuff, you craft cards, you upgrade your character and everything else. But Pathfinder, yes, Ruslan, yes, we are waiting. Ruslan, are you the occultist from the Steam forums? Because I have a sneaking suspicion you are somewhere from Russian Federation. Anyway, so this is our main world, the map, also the battle at the same time. So this is a deck builder. So it's a turn-based strategy with card battles where you are yeah, I know, Ruslan, you are okay. So as Occultist specifically points out, this is card battles, the main unique feature we love and we want to showcase to you every day. But today we will be showing a new gameplay side, a new feature that is unseen by ain't nobody seen it before. Definitely we did not run a Russian stream that we showed everything before this. So we're gonna show you a new feature in about 5 or 10 minutes. But also today, while Stas is playing like a madman, like skipping everything, try to be, I don't know, show them the game, not how to skip animations. Anyway, we're gonna also give away 2 keys for Deck of Ashes for the game. And since we have some of the guys from the previous stream, anyway, you want to win the key, we're gonna give 2 questions. All you need to do is hear the question and then answer it, and then send the answer to the Steam to the chat, to the YouTube chat. And after that, we will find you on Discord, or you can find us, and we will give you a Steam key for Deck of Ashes. The questions will be simple. You can remember it. Hey, Steve, what's up, man? Pathfinder, is it you? It's me. Yeah. Once again, Sergey. I am Knives. I'm the community manager for A1 Games and Deck of Ashes. And Stanislav is our game designer and also project manager. He plays like a boss. He goes all over the map. So as Stanislav will try to move towards the new feature we're gonna be talking tonight, what is it about? What people will likely play today, Stas?
Okay, so the new feature is, I'm not gonna tell you exactly what it is as of this moment. We're gonna wait for, should we wait for a couple more minutes?
Yeah, no, not
Okay,
but
okay.
Just give them a hint, a teaser.
Right, well, basically we had a common complaint that...
Complaint, request maybe?
yeah.
Yeah, request. No, everything's fine.
It was anything, you know. Basically, in our chapter 1, it is quite easy to run out of time. Our bosses show up after a certain amount of time has passed, and
As soon as yeah, okay. So we should be back any minute now, just in case we have some form of an internet problem today. We will handle it, we will improve it, we will fix it soon. But if we drop out for a couple of seconds, don't worry, we will be back and we will repeat all of the questions and answers in the stream. It's okay, don't worry about it. So Stas was saying about the new feature that will help tremendously for everyone who maybe doesn't like that the boss will come after you after, I don't know, some amount of time. Maybe you want to play in a more relaxed way, maybe you don't want to rush, and you just want to play at your own pace. So
or maybe you need some additional loot.
Exactly.
This feature does provide ample opportunities for getting as much good stuff as you want.
And we will jump into it like in about 5 minutes. So first of all, yes, Mystic Flame, hi, occultist, everyone in the chat. We do read the chat. We will accept any questions you have and we will answer them as as politely as possible, but also giving you the raw stuff, the truth, everything you want to know, we will do. Will we, Stas? Anyway,
well,
so
I'm kind of a bit, inside the battle. So
okay, yeah.
I
So
Stas
Stas
is what you said there.
That's nice. People always listen to me. Anyway, so as Stas is playing
you're
the game,
important.
yes, as Stas is playing the game. So yes, 15 cents is asking us about the patch today. What we will be revealing to you in a minute is a new feature that is coming to the game today. We're about to finally test it and release it. We hope everything is fine, and likely in an hour or so you will be able to download it and play it, and we will show it just in a couple of seconds. But before that, if you want to win a Steam key for Deck of Ashes, I'm gonna ask you a question right now in like 10 seconds, and all you need to do is to answer it, type it in the chat, and after that find us on Discord or we'll find you. Don't worry, you will get your key one way or another. We will remember and honor our promise. So basically, the question number 1 for a Steam key of Deck of Ashes is: for the longest time, people were collecting baseball cards. It was a collectible card game, but only in 1993 was the first game released that is an actual collectible card game. So type in the chat what is the name of the game released in 1993. This is basically the first card tradable collectible card game based on like kind of fantasy. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Stas is playing the game again. So
I'm here, but
okay.
I think you're making this question too easy for everybody. But
no.
We'll
Anyway,
we'll see.
We will see. Yeah. So basically, you type in the answer, and meanwhile, we will finally get to. I see everybody. Once again, welcome to the stream. We are about to reveal the main feature of tonight and what's coming into the update later today. And before we talk about Game of Thrones and all of the spoilers, let's do right now something about this.
And a particularly underwhelming ending.
Oh, okay, come on.
Let's start a holy war.
So yeah, good luck everyone. If you want, okay, we see who actually types the answer. So if you type the answer, go to our Discord. The link is in Steam discussions or in every news article on Steam. Go to our Discord, send the message to Knives to me, and I will give you the key. Don't worry about it. So we have a couple of answers, and we will tell the right answer at the end of the stream. So for now, let me do right this. So as people see, Stars, I think it's time to tell people what this new feature is actually all about, because we've thought about the bosses, we thought about like maybe a more relaxed way. Where can you find all this wealth and booty and rich loot that you're speaking about?
Well, it is pretty much classic. To get the best things, you should always look for a most uninviting place.
Scary.
And that place, yes, a scary place, and that place is often below the ground level.
Oh,
It's
you
a
don't say.
dungeon. Yes. So we are introducing dungeons. Dungeons in our game will provide several key mechanic shifts and some additional time, some additional loot, some additional adventuring.
Okay, nice.
Basically, let's show people how it
Yeah,
works.
why not? So once again, Lepi, I don't know if you are the winner or not, but maybe you want to go to Discord and message Knives with a question about the Steam key. We will get to the second question that will actually be a question from Stanislav later in the show. Don't worry, and we will give the right answers at the end. But right now, Stas will actually show us, escape the battle, win it, and actually show us what are dungeons and how they actually impact Deck of Ashes. And once again, don't forget, this update goes live today, in about like maybe an hour or like two. We're in the final testings of it, and please be prepared. It's gonna be raw. It's gonna be likely full of mistakes and bugs and stuff. So if you want to say anything about the balance or the bugs or the issues with the dungeons, or ask any questions, you can do it in the chat, but also in Steam discussions, on Discord, on Facebook, on Twitter. Post it anywhere, because there is a guy in the company that is getting paid exactly to read all of it and answer it. So I will give all of the questions to him, and he will actually answer and reply in Steam discussions and as Knives. Second question will not be about Game of Thrones, don't you worry. It's a question from Stas, who wanted to do something a bit more difficult. So Stas, where are dungeons? You are slowly making your way, but basically dungeons are on the global map, and as Stas is trying to reach a dungeon in the upper left corner, you will see it. To get into the dungeon, all you need is to get to it like an event or any other battle. So are you okay, that's smart.
I'm
smart.
gonna use a teleport.
Okay, so Stas will go into the dungeon, and once he enters, he can actually explain what are dungeons. You will see how to play them and what is the main benefit in. Okay, so I will speak like for a couple of minutes more. You focus on the battle. You make the good stuff. You win. Any questions from the chat, guys? No, maybe not exactly about the dungeons or updates, because we have yet to show them, but maybe you have a question about the game or what's coming about this week, or I don't know, you want to talk about it, what's happened in your life, like Pathfinder or like Mystic Flame, Occultists. Maybe you want to talk about anime. Let's go, man. Like whatever. I don't have anything to hide. You want to discuss some raw movie stuff?
He's trying to earn his penny any way he can.
Hey, I am doing as best the job as I can. So let's at least help me to actually do it. And from Occultist,
I'm just kidding.
No, yeah. See, mean guys always bullying the pure community manager. Anyway,
that's a sign of me. That's a way of me expressing love.
Okay, yeah, sure. How about you focus on playing the game? Anyway,
all right.
Question from Occultist, who is asking about, he needs an update about early game shenanigans. Would you like to get a tip maybe, or something like that? And I will go to the question from Mystic Flame in the meantime. Question from Gabriel, who is also Mystic Flame on the forums. How long have you guys been developing Deck of Ashes? Well, actually, Stanislav, maybe you can answer it. How long Deck of Ashes was in development?
Well, it's around 2 years now. So basically, we've come up last year at the very beginning of it. We've come up with the idea. We did some interesting experimentations with different genres. As a new studio, we tried to find out what is the best fit for us, what we can do. Okay. We made several prototypes. We've actually made a game, the multiplayer card game, which we froze for this particular moment.
Okay.
And in the process, we realized that we're actually quite into deck building games, and it could be quite an interesting direction for us to go as a studio. And we had the tech for a card game, so it kind of all and we love card games like Gwent, like Magic the Gathering, Hearthstone, pretty much anything on the market. And each of our designers has like tons of, I mean, thousands of hours spent in these games. So we kind of felt like it would be a natural fit for us, that we could really do it.
Okay, so in 2018, the project was actually actively in development, and now we've released it in early access. So it's like what, about a year and a half?
I'd say if we're talking about the production.
Yeah, active development.
It is
year and a half.
Yes, year and a half,
year and a
maybe
half,
a bit more.
Yeah, so yeah, it's not the first game we tried to make, and it's not the likely the last one. So, but it's the main focus, and it's like half year and a half. So the next question is again Pathfinder. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in, because this is our first stream. Maybe as don't worry, just go into the dungeon, and Stas will now actually explain what are dungeons, how to do, and don't worry, I will go back to the questions and answer all of them. And if you want to add us like Gabriel, it will help us a lot to see the question. Just type add and then Deck of Ashes. So Stas, what are dungeons?
So let's talk about the dungeons. So basically, you see a meter here, and if you are a new player, this is basically a amount of time before the boss of this region arrives. So you have a limited amount of time to put together your deck. And before we introduced dungeons, it was sometimes challenging due to random factors and just. So you had a limited amount of time to assemble your deck. So now, this thing,
the boss.
Yeah, the boss is coming every time you make is getting closer every time you make a turn on the map, and we wanted to give you guys more time, more flexibility in building your decks, more chances for adventuring. So we've come up with this idea of dungeons.
Okay.
When we enter the dungeon, this whole thing with the boss, it kind of disappears. So the time kind of freezes. The boss stops coming until you crawl out of a dungeon.
So the boss cannot find you, and it doesn't progress the progress bar of the boss. So if you are in the dungeon, you're safe. Don't worry, you have all the time you want to spend dungeoneering.
Yeah, exactly. So here we have a stuff you already well know. So that's basically altars, which are pretty much the same thing as events on the main map. You have chests, you have battles and stuff like that.
Okay.
Also, you have a fog of war. You do not know the exact layout of the dungeon, so you'll have to go exploring without knowing where you're going.
Yeah, but basically, it's not the secret that every dungeon has an entrance and also the end. You can reach the end or you can escape the dungeon. But every dungeon is explorable up to a specific point, which is a dungeon lord, a boss, a specific enemy that you need to destroy, to kill, to get a very lucrative rewards. Tremendous loot.
I think I might die.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. That's nice. We can start a new game with like probably on a raider or something like that, and maybe Stas can get back into the dungeon. But I will, as Stas will focus on actually playing and actually surviving, I will try to answer some of the other questions and also explain more about the dungeons. So, question from, don't worry, we read all of them. Question from Pathfinder was about an old bug coming back. Nope, impartial flame will stay fixed. Question from Gabriel. From Mystic Flame, are the enemies harder in the dungeons? There are two types of dungeons. So basically, from the first act, from the first boss, when you start in a new campaign, you can only go into the normal dungeons, and they are just enemies that are like almost the same difficulty as the world map, but starting from the second act, you can actually go into heroic dungeons as well, and heroic dungeons are a tougher version of the normal dungeon, which has tougher enemies, but also what, Stas?
They double the rewards you receive, but they're not just tough. They're pretty much ridiculously strong. You won't be able to find as strong enemies on the map as you will be able to find in heroic dungeons. So I suggest you purchase that resurrection ritual because
Okay.
it's gonna be a tough ride.
Okay. Also, we are not only talking about dungeons. Don't worry, you can ask any questions at all. So, dungeons are the main topic of today, and the focus of the update that will be released later today as well. But as some people in the chat are talking about trash about me and everything else, yes, we know, and we will address this problem. We plan to talk more about it, the early game and deck customization. We have ideas how to give you more ways and more freedom to start with a specific, maybe a combo or a style of deck, or maybe a specific deck. We just don't have a specific system to announce today, right now, but we know it's a problem. We know the early game is very slow and very repetitive, especially if you're playing since the launch of early access. It's not a new game for you. We understand it can be kind of boring if everything is the same. It's because for now we have only one hero, which is Lucia, the Eternal Flame. She's a pyromancer. But in the future there will be more heroes. How many? I have no idea. Maybe the entry into the game is some form of an indication. But basically you will be able to quickly jump into the game, try different heroes and archetypes. But also we will address it. We will make sure that you start the game like you want to, and you have more freedom in deck customization. That is that we know it. We'll fix it. Don't worry about it. So Maya, hi. Thank you so much for saying. We have only one artist today, who is Julia. Once again, if Stas can press on this OBS number 3, this. So Julia is the awesome artist. She actually draws a lot of cards, but also she did this amazing art just for us, just for this stream. You can press on scene 1 again. Okay, yeah. So we have several artists, but today we are joined only by Julia, and we will pass the information that you find the game very beautiful. Thank you so much. Also, hi Magao69. Stas, what's going on? Magao69. Anyway, you play, you focus, you don't die. Question from Vitaral1. Question maybe to Stas, but I can also answer it. When will we get a new character? So we have a second character also right now in the works, who is, I don't know, maybe he explores the dungeons as well. Maybe he left some messages for you. So Sly is actually our second character. He's the rogue. He's very different from Lucia. He is a very fast, quick, and agile character, and his mechanics and style of play will not be just an archetype number 5 or whatever. It's gonna be a very different mechanics and style of playing, and we plan it not only for Sly but for all of our characters. Every character in the game will have a distinct style, and within it several archetypes. So when Sly is coming into the game?
Well, that's a great question. And the short answer would be as long as it's finished. But we're not Blizzard, unfortunately, yet.
Okay. Summer, autumn.
Yeah, we plan to give you more news about the new character in a month.
In a month. Okay.
So it's currently nice. In the works. We have already tried several cool things, and actually, it's going to be. I think a more skill-intensive character. So. Okay. The fantasy of Sly is pretty much that fragile character. In an open battle, he is he's kind of weak, and he dies very quickly and stuff like that. And it will, require some additional wits put into the gameplay and into outsmarting your enemies.
But he's also faster, so he's not
fast.
just...
He's able to evade stuff. Evade attacks, maybe going into stealth, maybe the traditional rogue stuff. You don't really get that much chance in an open battle, but if you are able to outsmart your enemies, it's gonna be pretty awesome.
Oh, okay. So in about a month we'll have more info to share about Sly, but it's in the works. It's
Yes, in
we
the works.
have the design, we have what we want to do with the character, and it's going to be very different. So don't worry, because he is like maybe a bit easier to kill to die. He's very powerful, so you will see why this is the balance we want to actually do. And Magao, don't worry about it. We understand the difference between just crapping all over the game and saying a constructive criticism. So whatever you write to us on social media or in Discord or like maybe even on Steam discussions, as some people do, and I encourage you to do more often, we read all of it and we base our feedback with every release, with every patch, and we will introduce more balance updates very soon. We base the changes on your opinion because we value it as much as ours. So don't worry, you just state your opinion and we will make sure it's improving the game in the long run. So also thank you so much for noticing that this is our first, maybe the most animated background in the game. It's very different.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. And it's in general, dungeons, this update on dungeons and this background is an indication what we want to try. We want to try new different stuff and we want to improve the game not just based on balance or like one archetype, and we will move in very many different directions. But if you like it, hey, who knows, maybe the old backgrounds also will be animated, maybe we'll get more, so it's not a problem. So Stas, I have several questions I will try to ask you, like from Occultist once again, who continue to bust my parts from Steam to here. Don't we have a mobile phones? Stas, do you want to play Diablo? I mean, Deco versions on a mobile phone?
I'd be thrilled to. You know, right now we're focusing on our Steam release and making as polished a game as possible. And when we are out of early access and when the game is successful, or if it's successful, you know, we'll be able to, you know, think about other platforms too. So it's kind of, right now what we are focused on is delivering the best possible game for you guys. And
full release on PC.
And the full release on PC, exactly.
Yeah. So the engine allows that. It's not out of the question at all. We would love to have a mobile version. It's not a problem for us. It's just a basic. We need to actually finish the game and to give you everything we promised, because that is the early access for us to make the game we wanted to make, adjusting it and improving it based on community feedback. So. I will also like question from Lepi. It's a shame we don't have, for example, the artist behind many female characters in the game, Ekaterina, Kate. She's out of office for today. But the question was, Stanislav, where do we get the inspiration for the art style for all of the monsters and the cards and such? Because it reminds Lapi like a Witcher or maybe some other Slavic history. Where do our artists like take inspiration for the game?
Well, I guess they are the best guys to actually ask this, but
girls.
But when we tried to figure out how the game is going to look, we tried several things. We tried. You know, we looked everywhere. So I guess the best representation of what our game looks like is actually Witcher. You know, the Witcher series had those amazing cutscenes made in comic style.
Oh,
and they
okay.
were quite brutal, and they were dark and stylish. We kind of love them.
Would you say?
And, particularly the ones from The Witcher 3.
Okay.
Although my personal favorite is actually Witcher 2.
Okay, nice.
I'd say that we drew a lot of inspiration from those.
Nice.
And well,
basically,
we yes. Sorry. I keep interrupting you.
No, it's me trying to interrupt you, so
Okay,
don't worry about it.
so
Anyway, yeah, inspiration comes from many places, and we're a team around 10 people, very small team, but still, it's an opinion of many people, not only artists who are influencing the look of the game. For example, the dungeons, you don't want to know how it looked like a couple of days ago. We are very quickly to iterate on the design, on the characters and models and such, but inspirations come from many places, but mainly our style is about I would say a grim yet dark fantasy.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe just grim dark. Anyway, also question from I swear I saw. Yeah, Gabriel wanted to ask us a question like, is there a plan to allow players to go quicker through the battles? So, for example, like maybe like turn off animations completely, or maybe do something else. For example, we tried recently to add a space bar to allow you to more quickly turn through battles.
Which I'm using right now.
Yeah,
most of the time,
obviously.
and
you can hear the clicking of the space bar. So Stas, do we plan to add anything to, like, maybe, I don't know, skip animations altogether? Oh my god, you have started the Dungeon Lord.
So actually
Okay.
yes. So as you've seen, I traversed the dungeon and I reached the big boss of this dungeon. So this time around, it's Soulcatcher. It's quite strong. And actually, should probably read what he does, because that matters. Where to clear the dungeon, you actually need to defeat the boss. And after you defeat the boss, you will be able. This boss is called Dungeon Lord.
Yeah.
And he'll basically after you kill him, you get the best loot you can from the dungeon chest, which is located right after this encounter.
Yes. 1 dungeon chest in the normal dungeon, 2 dungeon chests in the heroic dungeon. And within the dungeon chest, what can you find if you open it? You kill the dungeon lord, and you open the dungeon chest. What's inside?
You're gonna find a couple of epic cards.
Whoa.
In terms of you'll have 5 epic cards to choose from. A pretty great deal, if you ask me. In the first chapter, where it's actually quite hard to find epic cards, which kind of help you make your deck much better if you're able to build your deck around them. So if you're able to clear the dungeon, you'll actually be able to get those cards quite early. All right, I gotta read what this guy
you
does.
just focus on finishing the Soulcatcher, and I will get back to the question from Gabriel, and I will answer all of the upcoming questions. So yes, we will also plan to adjust and to improve in the interface UI to give you an option if you want to put set settings in the game the way that you just blast through the game and you don't have time for animations and such. We have plans to improve it, but just when, cannot tell you right now, but we know, and it will come in the future. Early access for us, it's all about getting what we want into the game and enough success to actually make the game, because early access directly influences what we have time to actually accomplish. And as Stas continues to almost kill a shielded enemy,
almost be killed.
Ah, Jesus Christ. Anyway, so other questions I see from the chat. Yeah, questions also from Occultist about the random encounters, question marks, events. They are in the dungeons, but in the overall map. And yes, we also plan to do something about it.
I'm dead.
Oh, Jesus. Well, I have the achievement for, but you can still kill yourself with an action
Okay, let's get that achievement.
I already have it, but thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Exactly.
At least you're getting me like in a number of play. Okay, farm me some points. Anyway, so as Stas
you already unlocked everything.
Yeah, I hope Stas is trying to get us into the dungeon once more, and in the meantime, as he does that, I will answer yes. Question marks events. Stas, do we plan to maybe change them, handle them? I don't know, some bad events, good events. What we're gonna do with events in general?
Generally. The events right now, we're not exactly happy with them. We'll see about when we have the time and hands to actually redo them, but it is our intention at some point. So
okay.
We've heard a lot of stuff about make the events interactive, introduce some choice, and that was exactly our vision initially, but we only had that much time before release, and that's the kind of we had to settle for
a system that's currently in the game, but
which is more
the dream is still alive. We still hold hope, we still want to do more stuff, so we will actually get back to it. So, oh yeah, by the way, Stas, what are these icons with the resource just on top of them?
Yeah. So basically, there are two kinds of suggestions from the community we had addressed with the dungeons. First is that people have that feeling that they don't have enough time to assemble their deck, and the other thing is that we actually don't give you a lot of resources to be able to upgrade your camp. So this thing here is actually a specific resource which you can farm here, and actually you get a much better deal. You cannot dig out nothing. You can find 2 to 4 resources, which is much better than the stuff you get that you get on the world map.
Better than 0.
Yeah, better than 0. Yeah. So, and one thing, so we basically addressed these two things with the dungeons. Another thing we wanted to experiment with is actually introducing fog of war and
exploration.
And some exploration, exactly. So the other thing about dungeons is that we have for this particular dungeon, we have several modifiers, and we got right now a debilitating maze.
Oh no!
It kind of each step you take takes away 1 health point. So you better plan your turns while you're inside that dungeon.
Okay.
Or it might as well kill you. So it's some of these modifiers are kind of a bit more harsh than other ones. So you kind of have to you'll have to explore it for yourselves.
So basically, it's like if you play the game already, you know that when you step on a specific location, be it like a graveyard or a swamp or a cave, you have some form of an area effect. So when you go into the dungeons, you don't have just one, you have a specific set, a number of possible modificators. And when you go into the dungeon, one of them will be active for this specific dungeon. This is also something that is we haven't told you about yet, but anyway, every dungeon is saved and is unique to you on this specific act and run. So if you go into the dungeon and you choose either normal or heroic, this is going to be this specific dungeon. You can exit it, you can enter it from the entrance, from the exit, from the new icon next to your travel stone. You can return it, it's going to be still the same dungeon, so it's not rolling every time. And thank you. Yeah, Maya says that events with choices is actually good. Why not? So before I ask a question from Ashley, I have a message for Occultist, who is asking about like some number of hours in Dark Souls. I just have one message. Son, it's just on Steam. Okay, it's just on Steam. Anyway, so moving next to the question from Ashley. Ashley actually want to ask about multiple characters. So Stas, when we introduce like Sly and more characters and more, will the ending of a run, when you get the points and you get to choose which cards to unlock, right? At the end of the run, will this set of cards unlocks be specific for your run, or are you gonna be able, like, for example, like you play as Sly, right? You finish the map, you finish the run, and you kill Lady Death. Or you don't. I don't know. Maybe you tell me.
Or maybe spoiler alert.
Anyway.
Alert.
So yeah. So basically, you get to the end of the campaign.
Maybe someone hasn't killed anyone at the end of this game.
Moving along. So when you get to the end of the game, you have a specific number of points which you get based on how you perform during the actual campaign. So the number of enemies you killed and such and such. You can get a lot of points, and these points you spend on unlocking new cards. Right now you can go to your main menu and press on collection, and it will just basically tell you which cards will appear in the game. So that's how you and what you unlock. So the question is, if I play as Sly and I finish the campaign and I get the points, will I be offered a chance to unlock maybe some cards for Lucia and such, or maybe you need to play this specific class to actually get to unlock cards for this specific class?
Well, that's a great question.
Do you know the answer?
I don't have the answer yet.
Okay.
Well, actually, there are a couple of there are pros and cons to every choice here, and we kind of we're in the process of figuring that out. Maybe we will, introduce some changes to the unlock system to make it more streamlined, so that you don't even have to worry about such things. But that's that's a topic for another day.
By the way, we have a second key because we aim for like an hour because we still have an update to release, and Stas actually is the person who says, do we release an update or not? We have like about 15 minutes left and to answer any questions. If you want to ask anything about the game, not just about the dungeons, we will answer them. But right now I want to ask Stas to slowly prepare his question, which once again the rules are very simple. Stas will give you a question, and if you can answer it as first in the chat, you just type it and we will see your nickname, and then please go to our Discord and say I have won, and please be the real person who actually done it. Go to Discord, please find some knives, and I will give you the key. That's simple, because this is our first time. Everything is so raw and not prepared. We will try to make it much more like casual friendly and maybe some forum. So yes, and the question I wanted to actually address is like, occultist talking about dungeons, maybe dungeons will make the game repetitive, or some other questions about like in general. Early access and every update we release is about to give you the first raw draft of a feature, for example like dungeons, and it's not final. We want to make new features unique. So right now in the dungeons you get only the enemies that are already in the game. Basically you're fighting the same guys you're fighting on the overall map. But in the future we want to make dungeons very specific and very unique. It's just a matter of, if you like the feature, we will continue to develop it. If we see it works, if it doesn't harm the game, go to Steam discussions, go to social media, to YouTube comments, everywhere. I know a guy who will read it, and we will basically take it into account planning the future updates. So, Stas, are you ready to ask your question for a Steam key of Deck of Ashes?
Yeah. So my question is a bit more tricky. So it kind of it's about, we love card games, and we actually love to make some, to put Easter eggs in our game.
Maybe.
So yeah, maybe just a couple of them
Slide
for
box?
now.
What?
Yeah, slide box.
Anyway.
All right.
Question.
No one really understands what we're saying.
Question.
So the question is, there's a druid card in Hearthstone that costs 10 mana, and everybody used to hate it. We have an achievement that kind of trails back to that card. Please name the title of this card.
And the achievement.
Yes,
It's
and
the
the
same name.
achievement. Yes.
So basically the question is...
That's a good chance to. That's a good place to start.
So
if you don't have the answer.
Yeah, basically the question is, we have an achievement in the game that is very aimed towards what? Maybe some ailments, I don't know. Maybe some disease.
maybe something.
Who knows?
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, this achievement is also the name of a very famous card in Hearthstone. But basically, you can just look at our achievements in the game right now, and you type the name of the achievement or the card in the chat, and the first person who does it gets the Steam key once they contact me. Okay, maybe I don't know, continue to answer questions. I cannot tell you right now if it's the right question or not. You will have to wait up to 10 minutes more. So continue to post the right or the wrong answers, and after that I already see on my phone that Magao contacted me on Discord asking about the who won. If I understand correctly, Lapi was the first person to answer correctly, but we will go through the Steam chat lately, because you can watch, if you do not watch this live, you can still watch this video after the fact and learn about dungeons and see them, and in about like maybe 2 hours you can actually play them. And Occultist, sadly Occultist played Shaman. Well, what can I tell you, Occultist? I do not have a lot of respect for shamans, but well, I'm Miracle Rogue and hand block all my life. Well, I don't care. So, Magao, maybe it's Ultimate Infestation. Who knows? We will tell you in 10 minutes the actual answers to both of the questions. Number one was about the first collectible card game released in 1993. And the second question was the name of the achievement and the card from Hearthstone. We have achievement in the game about some ailments. Who know? So 10 more minutes. And do you have anything else to tell about specifically dungeons, or can we move to like probably Q&A and about game in general? Because we have time to answer all of your questions if you still have them.
About dungeons. We've basically mentioned already that every dungeon has a unique layout. It's generated every time anew. It has different difficulty levels. The time, I would like to, recap what we've learned so far about dungeons.
Yep.
Every dungeon has a dungeon lord, which we're about to face in just a second. I hope that I won't die this time. Maybe I should, clear a couple of, easy battles to prepare myself a bit better.
But
some cards.
You're also losing health.
Yeah, so I'm losing health every time I take a step, but who knows? I'm hopeful that I'll be able to, get back on my feet, because
it doesn't happen in every dungeon. There's just specific modificator for this dungeon. It doesn't mean that every dungeon has this. They have actually different stuff. So, Maya actually done. Because when we were like thinking about the questions, we more worried about like googling stuff, but Maya done it the right way. She just saw the achievements for the game and actually chosen the probably likely maybe the right answer. So also, Stas, personal question for you from Pathfinder from the forums, one of our most famous and knowledgeable player, breaking the game so many times. Most of my reports and bugs from the community coming just from Pathfinder. So he has a question for you.
Okay.
What's Lady Death into? What she likes? What's the favorite stuff that you can maybe, I don't know, approach Lady Death with? Do you have any info and lore about what is the character of Lady Death in the game?
Well, she basically likes when stuff dies. So
nice.
Yeah. Well, that's a part of things. She's kind of a part of a natural balance, and but it doesn't mean that she doesn't enjoy her job. She's pretty good at it. She has been able, to
kill people,
make the outcasts open the box,
nice.
The edge box, and she
Spoilers.
basically that is actually in at the very start of the game, so it's not really any spoilers.
Also, I have a question for you, because as we mentioned, we're like a small team of like less than 10 people, but we have artists, we have programmers up to one, we have game designers, and even a community manager. Can you believe that? So, but also, Stas, can you tell us the whole like plot of the game, story, lore, and script and everything? Who actually writes the game, and maybe events and everything else in the game? Where does it come from?
Basically, we do it collectively. We're a small team, and there are no guys who sit in their separate rooms. We try to collaborate as much as we can and come up with the best ideas. So basically, it's everyone. Everyone is a contributor to the story.
Nice.
But if I wrote a bulk of it, but basically, it's everyone.
So it's a collective effort, because it's a small studio, it's an indie game. Trust me, we all do everything. It's not just like if you're a game designer, you just make balance changes and come up with stuff. We all do everything, from testing to streaming, for example. So speaking of boners, Occultist, I appreciate all of your reports. Don't you worry. I try to always mention the most active people in the community, because when we discuss like balance and we discuss opinions like reviews, for example, where Pyrobombs, when they were released, the first question from Maxim, who is also Max, sitting like right in front of us, doing something, probably his job. So he's clicking on the mouse.
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Maybe he's somewhere on some website. So he was like asking, like, okay, I want to know the reviews. I want to know what people think about Pyrobombs. And we always mention the name because we know how Pathfinder plays, we know how Incendia plays, we know what occultist always finds bad about the game. Everyone has a specific opinion, so we try to keep the credit where the credit is due. So it's
Okay, so it's that fateful moment. I'm going to.
Good luck.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Alright,
kick
so-
that dungeon lord ass.
Maybe you saw the
Probably.
dungeon chest.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
good.
the genetics.
Good
So another thing is that in the dungeons, the dungeon lord is a rare monster which you won't find typically in the first chapter, for example. So this is kind of another thing. You know, if you didn't happen to get a lot of you know, if you weren't able to pass like chapter 1 or anything like that, you will see the kind of monsters which you hadn't had the chance to
Like for example,
to meet.
like what? Black Knight. Can I see a Black Knight?
Yeah, definitely. Any monster which is tough and has unique mechanics and you know, has this kind of style is right here before you, and it's going to be a tough encounter. I've come here right now with full health and full deck. You know, as small of a deck as it is. And you know, this is gonna be tough anyway.
Nice. So I will let you focus on actually beating it. Maybe we can show the epic cards at the end of the fight. I hope. I wish you to actually succeed and to actually, for once, play fair without any developer builds. So if you have any questions,
I always do.
Yeah, sure you do. So we have like 5 minutes left because we actually need to release the update tonight.
That is exactly why no one loves this guy.
Wow. Jesus H. Christ, man. Oh my god. See, occultist, you're not the only one getting busted here. So, we will release the update very soon. So, if you have any lasting question, like maybe some other questions, I will actually give you the answers for the questions we did about the Steam case. So, the first one, as if I remember correctly, we will check it. Lappy actually won. It was the Magic the Gathering, the first card collectible game released in 1993, which basically created the whole genre, and we are partially like...
Yeah, in some ways we
Exists.
are a bit of that genre too.
Yeah, so Stas Meyer is rooting for you, so it helps you and actually beat Genetrix, so go for it. I also believe in you, despite of you being so mean to me. Anyway, so
you know that's love. That's tough love.
tough love just between the men. So what? What actually? We know that Genetrix and several other mobs have maybe different combinations. Maybe they can make like you a handful of parasites, and then you cannot play anything and such and such and such. Early access is here because we can actually find these situations because more people actually play the game and fix them and change some balance. So don't worry about it. If you want to help us, always post your thoughts on Steam discussions, and we are not like too shy to ask like if you want to post it. If you still didn't, post a review on the game. Don't worry, we are not asking for a positive one. If you don't like the game, just post it. But list what you found troublesome about it. That's how we know what to improve and how to move forward, so don't worry about it. And several questions which I will... Okay, good luck. You have it, dude. You'll do it, so good luck. And we will see what hides in the epic chest at the end of the dungeon. Okay, man. 8.
Okay, we're almost here.
Yeah, so Lappy, yes, I see your message from Discord, and Magao
Okay.
as well. So
Done and done.
man, congrats. That's more than I expected from you. Anyway. So, see, you put me in a bad mood. Like, I'm just trying to mess with you. So,
I know. It's tough
yeah.
love. You
so
know,
show, yes.
like a boomerang. That's that launched.
Nice. So,
Yeah.
well.
So
not
we
bad.
get a lot of good options here. So I don't really know what my deck is about right now. So it's basically a bunch of fireballs and stuff like that.
I've been
reduced to
nervous and-
ashes and stuff like that. We've got Inferno, which
Nice.
I actually was able to craft the other day. It was a pretty fun card.
Some say it's very balanced.
Yeah. There is an opinion like that, and I kind of share the sentiment.
So,
So basically, I'm going to go with Greater Sacrifice, the card which is not available at this point.
Yeah, okay. No, not what I would have chosen, but still, it's an okay. Not as good as Lesser Sacrifice, but still. So, lastly, before you already left the dungeon, but basically, when you enter the dungeon, you can actually escape it at any time. You don't have to finish the boss. You can use a button which is no longer present, but will be in the news announcement coming live in several minutes. You can press on an icon next to your travel stone, and you will actually leave the dungeon and just return when you want to. So you don't have to beat the boss to dungeon lord to actually escape. And let's just answer some of the questions, and we will slowly wrap this up. So once again, question number 1 was Magic the Gathering. We forgot question number 2, which was Ultimate Infestation, and I believe Maya actually won it.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Maya, please find out Discord, go to Discord and message Knives. There's always the latest message in almost every channel is mine. So just message please on Discord, and I will give you and Lappy actually the codes for the game. It's just a Steam code. You can give it to a friend. You don't have to actually play yourself, but we would love it. So Stas, let's go through some questions very quick but thorough. Did you guys kickstart the game? I've not. So basically, Pathfinder did not follow from the start. So, did we run a Kickstarter?
No, we haven't. We considered this thing, but guys from the industry, which have
Experience,
more experience, they said to us that this kind of thing is kind of was good for publicity and stuff like that in the past, but it's no longer the case, and basically we'll be working an entire team for several months supporting Kickstarter, so it would not really help us that much, but who knows, maybe the next game we do will consider this possibility.
First,
it kind of has that great thing to it that you can get to know your community before you even have a playable game and stuff like that.
For now, 100% we focus on early access, and our main goal is to finish Deck of Ashes, because this game is 100% self-funded. Ain't nobody giving us money. So early access determines how far can we actually take it and how many features we can jam into the game as we actually designed. So a couple of extra questions, and we are 2 minutes from the end of the stream. So I just want to say, for anybody who has to go, thank you so much for joining. We likely will try to make them, if not every week, at least every major update, to explain, to show you how the systems work, and actually talk to you guys live and maybe answer some questions, not just about female characters in the game. So question about Occultist, I'll give you 1 question out of 2. So Stas, will there be any exclusive to Dungeons cards in Dungeons?
That is our idea. Right now, there are no cards that are exclusive to Dungeons. That is our intention for the future update. And currently, you just get the stuff, which you wouldn't be able to get that early in your run, and be able to feel out your deck before you would be able to do so before. And that's the kind of thing about Dungeons. And so
you don't have to go into them, but it's a very it's an option for you to maybe play the game differently. It's not the only one we will introduce, but it's a new kind of play style for you. So let's move to this last couple of questions. This is already our the biggest stream of all time, the first one. So question from give me a second, from Ashley about outfits and theming I posted about. So will we let's talk about events in general, very briefly, but still handle. We have limited time events, which are usually 2 weeks duration for the weeks, and then it goes away somewhere. And during that event, you can unlock a special achievement and a skin for Lucia and for other characters in the future. So what do we plan to do about events? Will you be able to unlock them if you are somehow missed the...
Yeah, we're trying to figure out the best way to make those events available again. Maybe through some, unlocking system, or making them available again for a limited time or stuff like that. We're trying to. It's been a vivid topic of discussion, and we're currently we just need a bit of time
Yeah.
to figure it out, to figure the best way to actually approach them. So we can say for sure
yeah.
that they will be available later down the road.
Yes.
In which way we are currently figuring out.
But if you somehow missed,
if you missed out on some good stuff, you will be able to gain access to it in the future.
just by playing the game and unlocking it through gameplay. Don't you worry. We're not talking about
Yeah,
releasing
we're
something
not
else.
talking about any extra money or anything. It's
So exactly, follow-up question from Ashley about why not have the outfit packs like skins just be purchasable with the ending points, like the bonus points at the end of the campaign, because we want a specific system. It's not just like give you points to, but who will know? We will tell when this actually happens, because right now we focus on Sly, on dungeons, and several other features, but we will get to events as well. So I just wanted to mention that Pathfinder, Occultist, I appreciate you guys. We're all cool. I hold no grudge. Everything is fine. Don't you worry. It's just old friends.
he totally is holding a grudge. I'm telling you this.
Stasio, kill me. Yo, goddamn. So, and probably the last question from Pathfinder, and we're gonna end this show. Thank you so much, everyone, again for joining. It's gonna be the first, but hopefully not the last, because we want to actually talk to you about the game when we have something big, huge as dungeons. So, question from Pathfinder: are you guys happy with the after battle system yet? Renewed cards and such. So, because we get a lot of fair praise and critique for Ash mechanics and for renewing cards. So basically, a lot of people find the main unique feature about Deck of Ashes is the fact that you play both decks. It's not just a battle deck and a graveyard which is discarded until the end of the battle. You can actually move cards between the active battle deck and the graveyard, which is the Ash deck. And also after the battle we have the renewing system, which lets you renew cards, pay exactly, basically mechanics are you pay with health for renewing the cards. So Stas, is it just the fundamentally never changeable system, or maybe it's just for Lutz and maybe some other characters have some other ways to renew the cards?
Well, so if you're talking about the Ash Pact, well, there are some. It is again a thing we've been discussing with the team. So basically, our first intention was to make a resource management card game. So in the same vein, Gwent is played. So Gwent is great for that particular notion that you kind of have several rounds and you just have your deck, and your task as a player in a PvP game is to be able to, not commit too much to a particular round. You need to plan ahead for your future turns, your future rounds, in order to be able, to win the war by, losing a battle or stuff like that. We kind of liked that idea, but we totally see why people react, in various ways. It, to the feature. Some like it, some hate it. It's kind of good for us, that the feature has been able, to produce such resonance amongst the players. It's very good. But the thing here is, we're still in early access and we're listening, and if we try to figure out the kind of system that allows you to renew cards, or maybe a different kind of Ash Pact, which you're able to maybe unlock, or
Maybe a difficulty for people who...
difficulty for people who don't like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you just go infinite with your cards.
Maybe you want to play a more classic deck builder. We still want to make Deck of Ashes this very specific game about these heroes, these outcasts, and this story.
But we need to make sure that that the game kind of preserves its uniqueness, because that was the resource management is actually one thing we consider to be unique to our game, which kind of works well with the whole dark fantasy thing,
Yeah.
which works well with the notion that we are not heroes, that we're not omnipotent, we're not all powerful. We are just like humans, and if we are going beyond our limits, we kind of that's the whole point behind the strain mechanic.
Yeah.
You kind of go beyond your limits. You have no mana already. You've spent all of your energy, and you still need that extra damage, to survive.
Yeah.
And you kind of push yourself beyond your limits, and but you kind of hurt yourself by doing so.
So basically it changed.
Well, long story short, it's we intend to make as many players pleased with the game as we can, but we need to strike the right balance between between still having that unique feel to the game,
Okay.
still preserving its dark aspect, but providing some alternatives.
Yeah. So like
For the people who don't like the basic mechanic of of the Ash Pact.
Yeah.
We're definitely having a lot of discussions right now about this particular feature, and we got a couple of ideas. But again, it's we have limited resources, and it is kind of
We will
the
try.
most limiting resource
Yeah.
is actually time.
time and people.
Yeah.
We will
So
try.
we'll try our best. And right now, our first priority is Sly, getting him to you as fast as possible, while
after that, we will
maintaining
see.
a very different, a very unique, feel to the character.
Yeah. So in general, like Deck of Ashes is very specific and unique to us. It has a soul. It has what we want for it to become. But everything else, throw your ideas. For example, like coming from Ashley about maybe different like unlockable stuff like Ash Packs. So we will try what we want to actually make the game, but still to have this specific unique feel and the features that people actually liked, because we are very excited how people actually received the game. It's doing very great, but if you want to maybe give us some feedback, always welcome to Steam communities and like Discord and social media. So once again, guys, Vampiro is likely next week. Yeah, maybe Vampiro is moving on next week, but don't forget to check it. And this was our first developer stream. We will try to make them like sometime during the months. And thank you so much for joining. Don't forget to check and update the game in about an hour, maybe about in 2 hours. And have an awesome weekend. And from everyone on the team and from Stas and from myself. Cheers. Have a fun weekend, and we hope you enjoy Dungeons. Just tell us what you think everywhere you can reach us. So thank you so much.
Yeah, and we'll be looking forward for another opportunity to talk to you guys. So
Yeah.
see you around.
Thank you, and have an awesome, fantastic weekend. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, we're gonna try to stop this likely like this probably.